I got a cool article here from The Guardian, and let's take a look at that. So it says here musicians call for industry shakeup to protect artists during lockdown. Two organizations that represent thousands of British musicians, they're going to launch a Keep Music Alive campaign calling for urgent changes to the music industry to protect artists at risk of ruin. And so this campaign, this Keep Music Alive campaign, calls for solutions to the problems that the lockdown has inflicted on musicians. The suspension, so here's some of the problems. The suspension of live music under lockdown has cut off most artists one dependable source of income, gigs. Payments from streaming services such as Spotify are so negligible. Yep, it's 0.000001 cents per stream. And so there's a massive hole. The campaign has been organized by a 30,000 strong musicians union and the Ivors Academy. And they're trying to alert tech platforms, record companies, everybody, right? And we have this fine gentleman down here. So Broken Record will host the evening of the hugely popular Twitter listening parties. This is an issue that happens, that the big tech platforms really try to do a lot of propping up of these artists who are already established. And so you can formulate your own opinion on that, but we're not talking about the big boy famous people. We're going to be talking more about the little guys. Here we go. There's a general feeling I was getting on social media. You're not gigging anymore. You're just sitting at home. So why not get on Facebook and play for us? Okay, this is an artist named KT Tunstall. So they're like, hey, why don't you play for us on Facebook and Instagram? And she says, I tell you why I don't want to do that. Because that's how I make a living, referring to gigging. And I've just lost 200 shows. And it's completely decimated my income. Over £1 million, she says she thinks she's lost, and that's revenue, not profit. So all the expenses are still there and no money coming in. Labels and streaming platforms are mistakenly thinking they're the product, and they're not. The product is, as we talked about last week, the song. Spotify's reckoned to pay out an average, look at that, 0.0028 pounds. That's completely ridiculous. But everybody that signed up for those services signed on the dotted line. So songwriters are in a precarious position. One of the prime movers is Crispin Hunt. I've been successful, but the wolves are at the door constantly. Tens of millions of plays on YouTube. In the first 2 years after its release, YouTube paid him $158, basically. His last money from Spotify, nearly 3 million plays. And in the last 3 months, it notched up 25,000. And he only got $5 from that. So you can take, here's how you do it, folks. If you want to see your amazing success of some of these guys on Spotify, let me see, where was it? You take this number and you multiply it by the number of streams you get. And there's your money. Oh, and then you split it half and half with Spotify. Forgot that part. That's the most important part. A spokesperson for YouTube said the company pays the music industry rates that are on par with the rest of the industry. Okay. Anyway, so there you got this sort of auto respond robot response here. The platforms can do better. They just need to be held accountable. So America faces an epic choice. Science and reason are in a battle with conjecture and instinct to determine public policy. I don't know if it's that serious, guys. The Guardian. Oh, give us money, The Guardian. So anyway, you guys out here have a hang up about asking for a couple of bucks of donations after uploading hundreds of thousands of minutes of entertaining video content. This whole last 3 paragraphs is basically an ad. And at the very end, we have support The Guardian from as little as $1. It only takes a minute. Thank you. People are looking for some sort of paradigm shift in the business model of these platforms when I don't really think you should be holding your breath on that one. Like they say, oh, we're just doing what everybody else is doing. So as soon as one of them radically changes their model, guess what? It's sort of, they're going to get left behind by the guys who are continuing to take advantage of everyone. What do you guys think about this kind of stuff? If you're just joining us this evening, we're talking about the lockdown and how it is affecting musicians. But a lot of musicians today, myself included, are not just musicians. We are small business owners. We are entrepreneurs. We run our own studios. We have our own clients. We set our own schedules. We make our own deadlines, and we have to hold ourselves to these standards, or we don't survive. There's no big overarching structure of you know uh, safety nets to help us do what we do, really. There's loans. You can get small business loans and these sorts of things, but you still have to pay it back. It's not like anybody's doing us any favors down here. But of course, the Twitter listening parties are just doing such great things by making sure they hire Boy George for their big featured artists. If you need help, if you need support, then the best way to get that is just to ask. In my opinion, what these guys are doing with the what's it called, the Keep Music Alive campaign, they're not just asking for support, are they? They're asking for everybody else, all of these big billion-dollar generating super corporations, streaming services, the biggest companies in the world, like Apple and YouTube and Google. They're saying no. You guys have to kowtow and treat us like we're royalty, or what? You're gonna pull your music from their platform? What are you gonna do? What kind of leverage do you have? I mean, maybe Boy George has some leverage over Spotify, right? Maybe Paul McCartney might have some leverage. Maybe one of these guys they were talking about in this article, who are having singles that are selling millions and millions of units. Maybe they have some leverage over Spotify, and maybe they can get something done about this. But they're not going to. Why? Because Twitter is already helping them out. They're already supporting them by putting them in these listening parties and these watch parties and propping them up without any idea that the vast majority of musicians and artists out there are not at that level yet. They're trying to solve problems that the lockdown has caused. You with me? So what are they trying to do? They're trying to increase the percentage from Spotify splits from, what are they going to budget? 0.0012 to 0.0013. But you just said it's the problem is caused by the lockdown. Wouldn't the solution be to just end the lockdown? If that would seem to be the simplest solution to me. I mean, so this is kind of presupposing that the lockdown is just forever and ever and ever and ever, and it's just never going to stop. And assuming that the lockdown goes forever and ever, this is the only way that musicians are going to be able to survive. There's some weirdness there. No, I say end the lockdown, even if you do something radical like, okay, only musicians get to end the lockdown. Even if they did something radical like that, that would be better than, let's just completely just pillory the relationship that Spotify has with their artists, which is already terrible enough that they're getting a fraction of a dollar for every stream. Let's make that even worse. Let's just punish them for that. I don't see the point. It seems like they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. One of the things they said at the beginning of the article is the suspension of live music under lockdown has cut off most artists' one dependable source of income, gigs. Now, this in reality is not the only dependable source of income. There's a lot of artists who sell their music on services like Bandcamp. They sell their music on their own websites. They set up their own download systems. They figure out how to redirect people to landing pages when they have a bigger, better, higher level, higher quality product. And so if you get into e-commerce, I was reading an article earlier today, actually, that since the lockdown, e-commerce has gone up like 25%. So you have companies that exist online only. They don't have gigs, and their revenues are going up 25%. But musicians only have one reliable source of income. Of course, it's those gigs. If it wasn't for those gigs, man, we would just be hanging it up. Well, some of these guys should be hanging it up anyway. Not even half of 1 penny per stream. Which, again, sounds like a really small number. I want to clarify that. take that number and multiply it by 100,000, you're gonna end up making some money, right? Multiply it by 500,000. Yeah, it adds up. So those little fractions of pennies do actually equate to real pennies eventually. But yeah, it's not fair. But everybody made that agreement. I mean, they want to like make it sound like these guys, the musicians union, and all these valiant fighters standing up for the poor little um, the platforms can do better. The platforms need to understand the value that the artists bring. The platforms have absolutely no incentive whatsoever to uh, increase the visibility or place your video anywhere. It doesn't. Nobody reads those terms of service. That's what that says in there. It basically says they can do whatever they want. They can redirect your income wherever they want. We did a video called UMG Strikes Out. We're talking about Universal Music, Sony, Warner Brothers. They can do whatever they want with your video. They can claim that they own the music, and you have no recourse. They can take down your video. They can make up a completely different list of bannable words every single day, and they will never tell you what those words are because they're afraid that somebody might figure out what those words are and get away with something. So now we're sitting here on Facebook talking in code. I'm talking about Backstreet Boys reunion tour. I'm talking about my Sharona Cyrus, because if I say the word that you're thinking in your mind, you know what I'm saying. I know what I'm trying to say. They can change the rules 20 times a day, and we have nothing to say about it. So one of the drawbacks of using YouTube, using Spotify. However, there's a lot of benefits as well. If you know what you're doing, if you know how to make mistakes, if you know how to fail, if you know how to take your own money and put it behind something you really believe in, you can reach a lot of people. You can actually reach a lot of people for free without having to put in a dime. So you can create brand awareness. You can do targeting ad campaigns. You can geolocate people. You can figure out how old people are. All of that data that Facebook and Google are so evil for stealing all of your data, right? Well, you could use that to your advantage because all that data is at your disposal as long as you're a paying customer. Live music is not over. The music industry is not over, and the lockdown is ending very soon anyway. So every single problem that they talk about in this article it's not incumbent on Spotify and a bunch of private companies that you already signed a contract with. It's incumbent on the government. They're supposed to be serving the people. They're supposed to be doing what we elected them to do. And so that's who should be in charge of this problem because they created it. They can stop it, right? And I'm not one of these radical, I need to get a haircut. No, right? I'm not getting any haircut anytime soon. But I'm just saying, they want to, and this may have something to do with the political leanings of The Guardian. They want to put the problem anywhere else than where it actually is. What are your guys' opinions on doing live shows? Is there a way to do it while mitigating harm? Let me know what you think about that. I think we're going to have to very seriously explore some of these options as we go forward into getting back to the grind. Do you want to just wallow in self-pity and say, oh, the music industry is over? So let me know what you guys think about that. I'm going to take a quick pause here one more time while you enjoy this short word from our sponsors, namely yours truly.